I spoke to the Forest Industries Association's Terry Edwards a short time ago. Terry Edwards, thanks very much for joining us. Another shock announcement, Alec Maher. Can you work with him?
Look, that's going to be an interesting exercise in itself, but I don't think the industry needs to be working directly with Alec Maher. As I understand it, will be appointed to be the general manager, representing the owners of the Triabunna facility, and he would probably deal directly with whatever lessee is put in place to run the facility.
He does have knowledge of the industry in Tasmania, and my understanding is that he is going to be liaising in terms of trying to expedite getting the mill open again as soon as possible. In that case, the industry in some way, shape or form is going to have to work with him. Is it possible?
Look, again, that's going to be an interesting exercise, and it remains to be seen. We're certainly keen to have dialogue with the new owners, whether it's with Jan Cameron and Graham Wood direct, or whether it's through Alec Maher or some other mechanism. I mean, unfortunately, I think it's well known that Alec Maher has form, as it were, in respect to the forest industry debate in Tasmania, and that will make it more difficult than perhaps it needed to have been.
Graham Wood says that Alec Maher has been told to keep his personal opinions to one side. Do you really have a choice but to work with him?
Well, look, we probably don't have a choice. If he is the representative of the owner of the wood chip export facility at Triabunna, then we're going to have dialogue with him. As to being able to place one's personal opinions to one side, I think we all know that that is quite difficult. And I think Graham Wood himself has been guilty this week of putting his own personal opinions on the public agenda rather than simply operating as the new owners of the mill in terms of nominating that the mill would only run for 3 to 5 years.
Graham Wood has said that there is no specific time frame, that, after discussions with the government late yesterday, that it is unclear. He says they will open for an unspecified time, that needs to get sorted out by the signatories to the Statement of Principles.
Look, that's exactly right, Airlie. That issue was left specifically unattended to in the negotiations we had in front of Bill Kelty in Melbourne a few weeks ago. It's an issue to be negotiated out as part of phase 2 of the agreement process about what a transition period might look like. My concern, though, is that Graham Wood in the Australian yesterday specifically nominated that the industry position that transition would take 20 to 30 years was an extreme position, and that is concerning to us, and it's one reason why we need to have dialogue at an early time.
Graham Wood says they're not actually bound to keep the mill open, but that they have given an undertaking, a commitment, a promise to do so. In your mind, where to now for the Statement of Principles?
Look, from our point of view, the purchase of the Triabunna facility by Jan Cameron and Graham Wood is an additional layer of uncertainty on a process that's already been bedevilled by a lot of uncertainty. Certainly so far as the industry is concerned, if there is no contractual commitment to keep that mill operating in accordance with the Statement of Principles, which was the public announcement made by Guns, then that increases our level of anxiety, and we would be seeking that the Tasmanian government reach an agreement in writing with the mill owners about the detail of how that mill will remain operating and for what duration.
You said the Statement of Principles is at risk of falling over. How real do you think that is?
Look, it's very real. When we entered into the negotiations process in front of Bill Kelty about 3 or 4 weeks ago, industry made it very clear, and it's recorded in the document that issued following those negotiations, that a condition precedent for industry was the continued operation of the Triabunna wood chip export facility. If that mill were to close, all deals are off. And as far as we're concerned, that would place at risk the entirety of the agreement, including the conservation agenda, including issues surrounding compensation for various people, including contractors, employees, guns. The whole kit and caboodle would be back up in the air, and we'd have to start again.
That agreement that you're talking about was mistakenly released by Bill Kelty. It hasn't been signed. If you walk away from if Forest Industries Association and industry walks away from the statement of principles, there's no wood chip mill in the south of the state now anyway. That has gone to new owners. The only hope you have is to stay with the process, isn't it?
Look, that's one interpretation. I think there are other options that may be available, and we're currently exploring those.
Like what?
I don't wish to canvass those on air, but they are issues that we will explore to see what alternatives do exist. What we won't accept is a situation...
Alternative wood chip facilities or alternative loading facilities somewhere else?
They could be alternative wood chipping facilities, they could be alternative loading facilities, they might be alternate uses for the low quality wood that's thrown up through harvesting for high value appearance grade products in our forests. They're all issues we will explore, and I think it's proper that we do explore them anyway. But one thing we won't do is go into this negotiations process with the Triabunna wood chip mill being held as the sword of Damocles over our head and saying you either agree with us or we're going to close the mill. That is unacceptable. We need good faith negotiations. We've had them to date. I don't see any reason why they won't continue into the future, but if they don't, then we still reserve our options to move away from the process in exactly the same way as the Wilderness Society have.
Terry Edwards, more to come. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellie.